I've been seeing you've been doing a lot of media for ESPN for the UFC. You want to tell me a little bit more about that and what you did for the Contender Series on Tuesday?
Yeah, I've been working as a commentator for the Spanish broadcast team, and that's been kind of like fun. It's been a side hustle besides being a fighter, so it's a good way to keep me busy. And yeah, the contender series was good though. Like two very good, solid prospects. I'm 125 and 265, like heavyweights.
Mm.
So I feel that they are gonna have a bright future. I feel that they're gonna do their debut really quick. Wind was already here. I'm at the PI, and Wind was here training this morning. So that shows the commitment.
Mm. Yeah, Wynn's a dog, so that was a crazy fight last night. But a little more on yourself. Talk to me about how rehab's been going and what in specific you're working on. What injury was it and when did it happen?
It's not like a specific injury. I've been having problems with my left knee for a while now. And, finally, after the last fight, the doctor told me, like, if I want this to get better, I just need to done surgery, to get done surgery. It was pretty quick. It wasn't helping. So it's just a quick rehab. It's been 3 weeks, and I'm already. I didn't stop training. The day before, after the surgery, I was already back in training. So they got me doing SNC and stuff like that. It's just right now I can't do any combat related thing. So I need to let the knee heal
Mm.
and settle. But overall, it's going pretty well, bro. I can't complain.
Yeah, so did the doctor give you a time frame for, when you think you're going to be able to start training and start getting back into the octagon?
To be honest, the doctor told me like it's gonna be something between 4 and 6 weeks because it's nothing hard. I'm already trained. That's why I like that. That's the thing that I like about the surgery is that I didn't stop training. I didn't have the need of stop doing everything. I am doing SNC, I'm doing conditioning, I'm keeping in shape. So I feel like things are gonna move as fast as possible. But at the same time, I don't want to rush it.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do what God wants, and as soon as the doctor told me, "All right, you're clear, you can start training," I'm just gonna start training, and just start doing everything again without rushing. I feel that that's kind of like one of the wrong things that I've been doing in my career. It's rushing into fights, and I really need to take time to adapt to the new weight class, to all those stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's definitely a smart way to go about it. There's no need to rush in and risk re-injuring that knee. So, going back a little bit, initially, how'd you get into MMA? How'd you find your way to combat sports, and what made you think you could do it professionally?
It's funny because I started training at 12 years old. I get bullied in school, when I was young. And my parents just put me into sport. I always did sport when I was a kid. But, my parents put me into MMA training. And I just fall in love, fall in love with Muay Thai. That's what the first martial art that I started training. And from there, I just started adding Jiu-Jitsu and boxing and more. I started competing as an amateur fighter. And, you know, before I ever noticed, I was already fighting professional.
So, with that, along the line, you joined Extreme Couture. That's one of the, most respected gyms in the country, and it's been like that for a while. So, how'd you find your way to joining that gym, and who are you training with the most day to day?
I was there for 3 years. Now I'm moving in or like in different gyms, just seeking more growth.
Mhm.
But the gym is good. They really helped me out developing a good base. Here in US was my first introduction to what actually wrestling means. Because in Mexico we don't really have wrestling, so it was very important part of my career being in extreme training with Dennis David, with Nate Petit, with Eric Nixie, with all the coaches.
Mm.
And then I just started moving around, like trying to find more resources and more styles of fighting, and just trying to be a more complete fighter.
So, have you switched to other gym permanently, or are you just finding different sessions in different
Not
gyms?
yet.
No.
Yeah, just kind of like moving in and out different gyms just to see what's what I need. So that's another thing that I just noticed is that if you can tell how good fighters are not really now in big gyms. Like they are not part of big gyms. Everybody's moving around and doing their own thing. And that's what I want to do, create my own team around me instead of being part of a big team. So that's why I'm trying to learn the most that I can and, just kind of like creating my own.
Hmm. Yeah, so along that journey, you've been going different places, like we mentioned just now. What have you taken away from that? Has there been anyone that you've trained with that, those minutes stuck with you more than someone else?
I've been training with a bunch of guys. I train with Henry Cejudo in Arizona. I train with Daniel Cormier in California. So, being with two of the four double champs in the UFC history, it's nice because you really can take a bunch of stuff from them.
Hmm.
I learn from them. They are pretty nice guys. I like being with DC in California. He have a pretty solid team. Academy Fight Club, they are a very good team. Uh, and I don't know, I just been trying to learn from everybody, trying to understand what they put them into the position of those double champs. Because of course, it's not only about training; it's about what you can take from those guys.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. And that's definitely, a guy as young as you are. It's good to really take what you can from all of these older legends in the sport. So, along
Exactly.
that
Especially
time,
DC, man. If I need to tell something, this is hell of a guy. I really love that guy. He's such a nice dude. That really impressed me. He's not just acting, like he actually cares for you. And man, I'm grateful for him. He's one guy that I really, really, I don't know how to say it. I really appreciate because the way that he is.
hmm, yeah,
Just wanna let that clear because I feel that it's important to mention that he's a really nice dude.
yeah, a little bit on that. You mentioned there isn't a lot of wrestling in Mexico, and DC, obviously one of the greatest wrestlers, in the sport. So, can we thank him specifically for upping your grappling and wrestling game?
Yeah, that's the idea. Now that I am not in lightweight anymore, it's better for me. Because I can start wrestling. Like guys are not gonna be 5'8". They
Hmm.
are taller. So for me, it's easier to start shooting. I'm 6'4", so in mine, it's hard for me to try to wrestle guys when I don't even have a wrestling base. So
Hmm.
start doing these type of things and like I just want to start mixing everything. A little bit more.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, a little bit going, farther back in time on that regional scene, you went 12-0. You had 9 finishes during that run. So, before getting that call up to the UFC, what stood out the most about that grind?
I thought that it was different. At that time, I didn't knew what MMA means. I was just training Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu with my friends, with my brother, coaches in Mexico, and we were just grinding. And I feel that that approach took me to the place I am right now. But
Hmm.
at the same time, I need to start changing things because I was trying to grind too hard. Where at this level now, you don't really need it. You need to be a little bit smarter. So yeah, kind of like that. That's what I can take out of that stage.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, maturing as a fighter and knowing there's a lot more IQ and intellect used in the fight game. So, along that line, you got the nickname Golden Boy. Who can we thank for that, and where does that come from?
It's funny because my main coach, my original coach, the one that is like a father for me, Raul Romero. Everybody thinks that it's because Oscar De La Hoya, but no, it's actually because Badr Hari. Badr Hari is the golden boy too. So my coach used to be a former K1 fighter. Heavyweight. He fought also in Bellator. So I don't know. Before one Muay Thai fight that I have, my second or third professional Muay Thai fight, he say, "Hey, you should be the golden boy." And the announcer heard that, and he just go out there and announce me like that, and it sticks. So since then, I'm the golden boy.
Would you think that you that nickname reflects who you are as a fighter and as a person?
Yeah, I feel that the nicknames are growing around the person, so I can complain. I feel that I have a good one. And it's good, because it takes out the need to choose. I
Hmm.
feel that if he didn't give that to me, I would be trying to still find it, but I love my nickname.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. You're a happy guy, so the Golden Boy, it makes sense.
Thanks, brother. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So, what was that moment like when you finally got the call and you were offered a contract to fight in the UFC?
Oh, got it, got it. Man, it was kind of like a dream come true. I was too young at the time. I was 19, 20 years old. So I wanted to take more time, but the UFC didn't really give me the opportunity. They kind of like pushed me through, and I was okay with it. Yeah, I just took the opportunity, a risky one, but at the end it all worked out, and I ended up getting my contract. So, but yeah, I remember that day. After 12 fights, I didn't really knew if I wanted to be in the UFC. But when I got the call, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's try it. And that was kind of like being my entire career. I never really tried for the things. Things are just coming to me, and that's good. I feel that was the best part of my career. I didn't push for things. I was just letting things happen and getting ready for it, and look, it get me to where I'm right now.
Yeah, you've let things come to you. And a little more on your UFC, your time in the UFC. Recently, you've had a little bit of you've dropped three fights to some of the greatest in the game right now: Bobby Green, Michael Johnson, and Esteban Ribovich, who fights this weekend. So you look back at that, this is all extremely, extremely high level fights. And you yourself, you're 26, you're super young. You weren't even 26 when these fights were happening. So, how do you look back on that stretch as a whole, moving forward, knowing you're growing every day?
It's funny because I was talking to a friend about that right now. I think that it's part of the story. It doesn't mean that my story ends there. It's a tough moment, of course. Everybody wants to win, but I feel that I am learning. And as you say, my last two fights were against two really good veterans in the sport. And on top of that, according to lightweight, and I just feel that I made a bunch of small mistakes that when you put everything together, it's a big mistake.
Hmm.
So I just keep learning how to be a fighter, learning how to train, learning how to live my life. I'm blessed. I can't complain. I really have a good life, good friends, good job, good family. So I just try to don't focus on the result, better focus on the journey. And of course, I am changing things. Of course, I am still seeking to be a world champ. I still know I can. So it's just more of time and just keep working.
Yeah, it's good that you see this in a more positive light because, in my eyes, I completely agree. You're only 26 now, and you had this three fight, learning opportunity so early in your career that you have all this time now to fix those and become that world champ, like you
That's
said.
that. Yeah, Maran, that's another good thing. I was actually talking about contenders yesterday. I saw pretty much everybody's 27, 28, 30 years old when they get into the UFC. I get at 21. So the way I'm seeing is like all the career that I have a lightweight, it was just like introduction, and now at welterweight, I am ready to start like this new path in my career.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. A little bit on that, you're listed in Tapology. Recently in May, you picked up a grappling match. You want to talk a little bit about that experience and what made you decide to step onto the mats outside of the UFC?
Since now I'm moving up a weight class, I just want to start trying or feeling heavier bodies. And that's why I choose to grapple against these former heavyweight, Mexican heavyweight, just to start feeling, more strength and different type of bodies. And on top of that, bro, I'm really good at jiu-jitsu. I know it's something that I didn't show yet, but I'm black belt first degree. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 13 years already. So, I feel that it's something that I really want to start putting into my fights. And you can expect more. If I didn't have the surgery, I was actually trying to do another one in September just to stay active. But then the surgery happened, and what can I say?
Hmm. Yeah, man, I get it. The surgeries they happen, they're part of the process, but it's good that you're getting those, experience and you're feeling what it's like to go up a guy who's 10, 15 pounds more than your usual opponent. So I
Yeah,
have a
no, it was more. It was 50 pounds.
50.
Yeah,
Jeez, dude, was
yeah,
there
it
was
was
there no
crazy.
weight class
Yeah,
in
I know, but
this?
I just no, because it was a super fight in PJJ. So there's not really a weight class in.
Okay, that's crazy. I did not know it was a 50-pound difference. That makes
I know it is crazy, but it was a good experience.
I mean, how did you, a guy 50 pounds more than you, how do you manage to, find your way to a calf slicer submission? I mean, that's high level, and you're doing it against a massive guy.
I was just trying to, be aggressive with the takedown, and again showing my jiu-jitsu. I get a takedown in the first minutes of the match. I end up taking the back, and I start there for a while. Then this guy explode, and I end up in a position where I can attack a calf slicer, and I just finish the fight there. But it's good because it gives me the opportunity to feel how it's like to move more body weight with me, and also with another heavier guy. So I
Mhm.
see everything as an opportunity to grow and learning, get more experience.
Yeah. So you're 26. You have so much experience, yet so much time left in your career to grow. So you find yourself in an amazing position with this, balance of experience and time left. So over the next year, 2 years, or just in your eyes, when do you think you'll be able to actually make that walk again to the UFC octagon?
Oh, I feel that late this year, probably in the worst case scenario, early next year, if that's God willing. But again, I'm just trying to not really focus on that right now. Just focusing on get back to training, get healthy, get happy. That I feel that that's very important things in this sport.
Yeah, 100%. You have a great mindset. You're focusing on recovery, and I'm wishing you the best for it. So
Thank you, bro. Look, he's my friend, Brian Searcher. He's fighting in Contender Series. He just fought in Contender Series. He
he's
was
fighting on
gonna
the
fight,
Contender
bro. He
Series.
was gonna fight Miles Jones. Yeah, he was gonna fight Miles Jones this last weekend, but
That's
it was
Jesse
a last minute
Rosas.
call. So no, no, no. It's Brian Searcher.
I thought that Miles Johns was fighting Jesse Rosas.
Before Jesse, they called him, but bro, like they called him at in Thursday night. So there's no way he can make weight like one night before the
Yeah,
weight.
yeah.
So yeah, nah. But he's right there, brother. You should check it. He's a very good fighter. He's a very good Mexican. He was fighting in PFL and in different regional leagues.
Yeah,
Do you
I'm.
know the 2 3 years and forget? Islam 2 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
He is the original 2 3 years. He is the one.
You got 2 3 years.
Look up in your phone. Yeah, no, no. He is the one. He's the guy that Islam says that. 2 3 years and forget. He is. He was in. Yeah, I know it's a crazy story, but he was in Dagestan. ¿Cuánto tiempo estuviste? ¿Cuánto tiempo estuviste en Dagestan? He was 3 months in Dagestan training with Chanko, with all those guys. Yeah, I know it's crazy.
Tell him to respond to my DMs after this. I gotta get a call with him going next.
Yeah, bro. Hey, que le contestes los DMs para que te entreviste también. Yeah, I already told him. Yeah.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah,
So
bro. Sweet. I appreciate your time, bro. I'm sorry for late in the man. This last week was fucking crazy.
yeah, man, I get it, dude. And no worries at all. The fighter life, the recovery life, it's busy. I also want to say, I'm sorry for your loss earlier in the week.
Thank you,
And,
brother.
but, th-
Life just happens. But it was weird, that happens. Tuesday morning, I was already driving for training, and I got the call outside the doctor's office. So I need to go into the doctor with the news, and she was taking liquid out of my knee, and then just drive back to the yeah. It was a tough day, but man, I'm happy that we end up making the interview, and I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate the time.
yeah, man, I'm beyond grateful for you hopping on the call. You mentioned you're traveling, switching gyms. If you're ever, on the East Coast, let me know. We can get something in sometime.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, of
Thank you.
course.
Appreciate it.
Hmm.
And let me know whenever you need something else or whenever I have a file, let you know, brother.
Yeah, please do, man. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, brother.